Now I'm recording all those nice things I said about Anita are not on record. So
They never are.
no, thank you. So today I want to explore two qualities I think that are in many ways at the heart of mindfulness practice, and that's the quality of attention and intention. I've talked about this previously in mindfulness for the moment sessions. And if you've been on retreat with me or taken one of our courses, you've heard me talk about attention and intention. But it's still a good reminder to come back to help orient our practice because I think, attention and intention work together and sometimes they're separated. This particular practice is a practice of attention. This one is a practice of intention, and that can be true in terms of the emphasis on certain practices, but ultimately they go together. So let's dig in just a little deeper into these two terms and what they have to say about our practice and furthermore, our lives, the way we live our lives. I kind of like looking at the roots of words, the etymology of words. And so if we do that with attention and intention, it reveals, I think, some important things about their relationship to one another. Because they both share the same Latin root anyway, tendere, which means to stretch or to extend. And so then you add a prefix to attention, and when you add to attention, it means to stretch toward. So paying attention is literally stretching the mind towards something. And during the practice, we could say that we're stretching toward the present moment object of awareness and using our senses to take that in or perceive it. And so when the mind wanders, we bring our attention back to that present moment object of awareness, the breath, sounds, whatever it might be. And intention also has that same root, tendere, which is to extend or stretch. And when you add the in to that, it's into. So taken together, it means to stretch inward. This points to the kind of the inner orientation of the heart, maybe we would say, where we aim what we value in the direction that we're moving in. We're noticing that too. We're paying attention to that as well, not just this object of awareness that we're stretching towards, sort of outwardly. So in that sense, attention and intention are not separate concepts, but they're two expressions of movements. We might even say, more poetically, that they're movements of the heart and the mind. One expresses the stretching of our awareness and the other expresses the stretching of our purpose, why we're doing it, what's our intention in doing the practice. So awareness is the attention we place on an object, in a sense, looking outward toward the object, while intention expresses this inward glance toward the meaning and purpose of the practice. When meditating, we direct the attention as we direct a kind of a beam of light on this sense object. Breath, body, sounds, thoughts, emotions as they arise in the moment. But we also see that mindfulness is attention, yes, infused with this intention. It can't really be separated. And what is the intention for us? It's worth considering each time we sit down. And in a broad way, we could say that the intention is for us to be shifting toward kindness, patience, curiosity, what we generally call non-judgmental awareness, so that we might actually live a little bit differently in our lives with maybe more kindness, more insight, more love. So we pay attention on purpose and we pay attention with a purpose, an intention. Jon Kabat-Zinn, who developed mindfulness-based stress reduction, often speaks of intention as inherently connected to non-harming, compassion, and care. He explains that intention forms the kind of ethical backbone of mindfulness, helping the practice remain, compassionate, open, and non-judgmental. He says it very early on in his teaching and in his writing. In his early book, first book, Full Catastrophe Living, he says the attitude you bring to the practice is crucial. Intention shapes attention. Orientation. And Bourgeot also links intention to the importance of being present. It has to do with our presence also and being present. And she says it this way: we are present, in the words of the wisdom tradition, fully occupying the now in which we find ourselves. Presence is the straight and narrow gate through which one passes to wisdom. So we could say meditation is all about intentionality and being present in a particular way that leads to more kind of conscious presence, or what sometimes the tradition calls wisdom or insight. So intention becomes this kind of steady inner compass of the practice, and it's worth considering it maybe each time you sit down to practice. What am I doing here? What's my hope for this? Not in a like fix it way, but in that broader sense. And helping us to kind of orient towards compassion and wisdom and patience and care. And having that broader sense of intention helps remind us that mindfulness is not just about fixing anything or getting somewhere in particular. It's about meeting each moment broadly with openness and purpose. And as Kabat-Zinn puts it, so that we might live life as if it mattered. The Buddhist scholar Bhikkhu Analayo, I've mentioned before, also speaks about the importance of intention in the practice. I'm highlighting the words of some of these important and modern teachers from the contemplative and meditative traditions to show that, these concepts are essential and have been communicated across wisdom traditions over many centuries. So there's something to this, Bhikkhu Analayo says in his book, in the Satipatthana Meditation, a practice guide, he says that our responsibility is to set up the intention to be mindful and return to that intention whenever we notice that mindfulness has been lost. Why does that matter? Because it opens up the real possibility of living in a new way, that there are different opportunities available to us of reaching deeper into our capacity for love and compassion and kindness and understanding. Maybe allowing ourselves to be a little bit more free from hatred and prejudice and self-interest and ill will. This change of heart and behavior is often referred to as living the transformed life, that we can actually change even though it's hard sometimes and seems impossible. Analayo emphasizes this when he says, the goal is inner transformation that lasts. Meditation practice should result in an improvement in the way we are. This is Analayo, how we relate to others and how we deal with our outer circumstances in life. So these are intentional changes that can manifest externally in our relationships and how we deal with the events and experiences of our lives. And the practice can help cultivate these exterior changes, and making these changes can also infuse our kind of inner intention of the practice. What sometimes we hear in the 12-step tradition that says, take the body so the mind will follow. If we just keep practicing it, maybe we start to get it in our head and heart as well, and it tracks in the same path. So these two dynamics of inner and outer work are sometimes referred to as the path and the fruit of the path. Path is the practice, the fruit is the inner transformation. That comes out and is expressed in our day-to-day lives in acts of love and service. For me, these are lofty ideas, I think, but sometimes it's much easier for me to just sit alone on my own, usually in the morning, meditating in that early morning light. Everything seems just perfect. And that's a lot easier than going out into the world and being a little bit kinder and more compassionate towards others. But, staying on the cushion the whole time is not the goal. There needs to be a counterbalance of bearing good fruit in the world. So both are important and necessary to living this kind of what some call enlightened or wise kind of life. So attention and intention, two expressions of movement, movement of the heart, movement of the mind, a stretching inward, a stretching outward. And it's a dynamic thing. So let's practice together. And let's begin as we always do with noticing the physical body and the posture in the body and sitting so that there's a grounding in the low body. Feel your feet connecting to the floor, your legs connecting to the chair or cushion. And then lengthening up through the upper part of the body, up through the back of the spine, right through the back of the head. And then resting the hands gently on the lap or the legs. Eyes can be closed or softly gazing down. Perhaps release tension in the jaw without forcing anything, just so that our posture is upright but not uptight. And if your eyes are open and you're gazing down, make sure that you're just gazing down with your eyes, not by dropping your whole head down so that the head is level. You could even set a little intention as we begin the sit. May I be more at ease. May I be a bit kinder, more understanding, or more loving, especially to those people in our lives that kind of get to us for whatever reason. Not get us, but get at us. Or can I, as an act of kindness, let go of some of my ruminating? So again, we don't have to be overly forcing these issues, but just having an intention like that in a broad and kind of soft or gentle way. It's nice to begin the practice or end the practice with an intention. And then we're ready to work with the attention, bringing the attention to some present moment object of awareness that we can kind of check in on throughout the practice. Am I still paying attention? Has my mind wandered? So whatever that might be, the breath, noticing the physical sensations of air flowing in and out and rising and falling in the belly or the chest. Or maybe just notice your body sitting here. And let this be an anchor, a home base for awareness to return the mind to when it goes off, which it will. The mind will wander into thoughts, memories, storylines, emotions, plans. The instruction is not to suppress that, but to notice. Oh, projecting into the future. Oh, there I am getting lost in the past and remembering, planning, regretting, whatever shows up, and just acknowledge it, give a nod, and then come back to the present moment anchor, the breath, whatever it is. It's an important distinction, not that we're trying to stop thoughts or emotions. It's about paying attention to when the mind is carried away by them, the wandering. And then the opportunity is to invite the attention back. And that actually strengthens your capacity to do that over time. And doing so gently, guiding the attention back to the breath or body, and doing so with an attitude of kindness and compassion, friendliness, what we summarily call non-judgmental awareness. And this moment of return, each time we notice the mind going off, is really the heart of the training. I'm willing to come back. Even if you've been meandering mentally the whole time, and at the last 3 seconds of the practice, you notice it, and then that's the practice. Bring it back. Be patient, which is a form of suffering. Be curious, be non-judgmental. Notice where the mind is right now. Notice where the attention is. And if it's fleeing from the moment, then just making sure to return it. And doing so with an intention to be gentle with yourself and to be understanding about how the mind works, that it will move around. So you can return the mind to the present with care and compassion for yourself and for all the rest of us who are sitting here in the same kind of struggle at times. And that we can acknowledge the humanity in a wandering mind. Here's a poem by John O'Donohue about intention. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more.